Hi everyone, and today I'm carrying on talking about tongue blocking, and today I'm going to be giving an overview of tongue blocking and speaking a bit about the things that you can do with it and hopefully dispelling some of the myths. So some of the most common questions I get asked from players is, for example, can you bend tongue blocking? So I'm going to be going over a few of those things and sort of giving some insight to how I use tongue blocking in my playing. And then I'm in other videos about tongue blocking, so this is the second in a kind of series of videos about tongue blocking. I'm going to be giving some specific example and specific advice on how you can learn to tongue block and use it more and more in your playing. But sort of to give you some idea of how you can use tongue blocking and the kind of things that you can do with it is the purpose of today's video. So really the overall message is pretty much anything you can do lip pursed, you can do tongue blocked. Now this may sound incredible if you're a lip purser who don't use tongue blocking at all, is how can you bend, how can you do those fast runs, etc, tongue blocked. But you can, and many harmonica players actually, well I say many, some, and a lot of the top players in the world tongue block all the time. For example, Dennis Grungling tongue blocks all the time, Sugar Blue tongue blocks all the time. Very different players, very different styles, and that should also give you an idea of that tongue blocking doesn't limit your style. You can play, country style, you can play swing, Chicago style like Dennis, or you can play, even more contemporary, funky style like Sugar Blue. So starting with some examples, you can tongue block using both sides of your mouth. So this is something I talked about in the first video, and the advantage of this is you can use it for runs and playing scales out of predominantly one side of your mouth, but every now and again you can switch to make these leaps, or indeed you can play whole licks with both sides of your mouth depending what the angle that you're attacking the lick or the phrase or the riff. So simply put, you can start, most players will lean or favour one side of their mouth. So for instance, me, I play upside down and I tongue block so that I'm tongue blocking from the left. Most people will be tongue blocking from the right if they're playing the right way up. So I will do runs like this. That's all tongue block. But then I will sometimes switch down the lower end to actually use this side of the mouth and then come back up. That's all with this side of the mouth. So it depends what's happening. So that I would switch to the other side. See, I'm using both sides. So again, it's a technique that allows you to jump around the harmonica and you can play with both sides. The next thing is, can you bend tongue blocking? Yeah, of course. So these kind of things. That's all tongue blocked. Again, if you're lip pursing, it will feel like the first time you go for that bend, it just won't move. It will seem impossible. But Sugar Blue said to me once, your tongue is like a muscle, and the more and more you use it, the stronger it gets, and it's definitely true. So if you want to start using tongue blocking for playing bends and scales, as a tongue blocked on this side, you just have to practice, and it's the same with the bends. So these kind of things, lower down, that's tongue blocked. So lip pursed. Now tongue blocked. That's all tongue blocked. So you can get the vibrato on there, all with control, tongue blocked, and on both sides of the tongue, although one side would probably be a bit stronger. I'm not as strong on this side. So I can bend fine on this side. It's not quite as good as this side. So bending's fine, fast licks are fine. That's all tongue blocked, from the high to the low. all tongue blocked. So the other thing is, can you overblow or overdraw tongue blocked? You know, yes you can. So overblows, for example, this that's tongue blocked. Can you overdraw? Yes. All tongue blocked. Now I'm not a heavy overblower and I'm still sort of getting into it, but it is something that you can do tongue blocked on the right instrument. And I will occasionally use lip pursing to make certain intervals when overblowing. So for instance, if you're doing the overblow 6 to the draw 7, draw 8, this kind of, it's a kind of Carlos thing, I think, is I will lip purse the first note and then tongue block the next two. But then other runs, that is all tongue blocked. All tongue blocked. So you have that same maneuverability, but the overblows, I won't lie to you, are very, very tough to do tongue blocked. Same with the overdraws. And I haven't got the same precision yet when I do them lip pursed, and certainly raising them, you know, making that raise is very hard if you're using your tongue, but not impossible. So my tongue blocking, I've integrated more and more into my playing over the years, something I'll talk about a bit at the end. So the other thing is in first position. So a common sort of way tongue blocking is used will be around the middle and the high end of the harmonica. So some of the low notes for many players who use tongue blocking, they will still lip purse the low end of the harmonica. So typically draw 1, draw 2, draw 3, same with the blows, and then they'll switch to tongue blocking on 4 and above. But when they come to playing first position, they will lip purse like that. However, you can also play tongue blocked up there. Again, this is still something that I'm personally working on, but if you listen to people like Mitch Kachmar, they're actually tongue blocking those notes, which is amazing to me, but it can be done. So even when you go up to those high transitions in first position or cross position, you can maintain the tongue blocking all the way up, including the overblows, so you can get a completely smooth transition. Again, this is something I'm still sort of working on, but all these kind of that's all tongue blocked. So when you come up, combining that with the overblows and overdraws, you know, all these kind of all tongue blocked. All tongue blocked. So that first position stuff, all tongue blocked, you can hear it. Can all be done tongue blocked. So I hope that's sort of settled some of the sort of misconceptions or myths about tongue blocking. It's pretty much anything you can do lip pursed, you can do tongue blocking. Although on certain things, tongue blocking is definitely the harder of the two methods. But tone-wise, you know, tongue blocking has that power, certainly in my view. So then the other thing to talk about is it's very hard to integrate tongue blocking into your playing when you first start. So you have tongue blocking utilization, if I can call it that, for players in kind of different groups. So there's no right or wrong answer to this, but you'll find that there's players who use tongue blocking just for effects. So that would be for octaves, for tongue switch, tongue flutter, things like that. But then all their runs and scales will be lip pursed. Then you'll find that there are players who use tongue blocking for runs, but in a certain part of the harmonica. Most typically, that will be tongue blocking starts from the draw 4, and then moving up to the harmonica, and then switching to lip pursing for first position. So 4 through to the 6, up through the 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. will be tongue blocked, and then it will be a switch to lip pursing. You can hear Kim Wilson doing that a little bit actually, as a good example. And then you have players who tongue block on single notes a lot more, so further down the harmonica and also at the high end. So people like Mitch Katchmeyer, you know, myself, I tongue block sort of 80 or 90% of the time now. So when I started, I was in the category I just described before. So I would tongue block around the 4 and above and switch to lip pursing on the first position. But now I'm tongue blocking first position most of the time, all the way through the middle part of the harp, and also the draw 3, draw 2 and draw 1. And I will use both sides of my tongue, as I explained a moment ago. I'm switching sides there. And then you have the last category who are people who tongue block all the time. So for example, Joe Falisco tongue blocks all the time, doesn't really lip purse at all. So there are those different categories. There's no right or wrong answer. So if you think about start to learn tongue blocking and integrate it into your playing, then you might find you travel through that kind of sequence. That's certainly what happened to me. So you start with effects, then you start using it for runs, but in a limited way, still using lip pursing to anchor yourself on the bottom part of the harmonica, and then gradually bringing in that tongue blocking on the draw 3, draw 2, and draw 1. And the same. And you may find over time you tongue block all the time, or you may not. You may find that you just use it here and there. Many fantastic players have the bias towards lip pursing. You know, Howard Levy doesn't tongue block that much. He only uses it for effects. Who is better than Howard? An incredible, amazing one-off player. Jason Ritchie uses a lot of lip pursing for his runs, and he'll use tongue blocking for effects and for making certain leaps and intervals. I believe Carlos is like that as well. So, you know, there's a tremendous range of amazing players, all using tongue blocking to a lesser or greater extent. I'm definitely heavily biased towards tongue blocking. And you know, that includes my limited use of overblows and you know, straight position, etc. So it's something which evolves over time, and you may start to tongue block and think, how am I going to do these bends, you know, these kind of, or to get the control in, you know, in third position. It's all tongue blocked. It can be done. You just have to practice that. All tongue blocked. So I hope that you found that useful, bit of insight into how I use tongue blocking and some examples of the kind of things that you can do with it. And what I'm going to be doing in follow-up videos is giving you some specific examples and exercises of how you can start tongue blocking and perhaps how you can start using it in a more advanced way. Hope you found that useful, and I hope you check out the next one. Plenty of videos on my YouTube channel, and yeah, see you again soon. Thanks, bye.